Alright, you guys, so if you just clicked on this video and I didn't send this to you, this is not a Famitracker tutorial, this is not a tracker tutorial, this is just a tracker overview, just for how trackers work, and how I use it, and also like how, just generally how my tracker workflow is. So, this is Famitracker, this isn't Renoise, which is what I'm going to be showing later. I'll probably make another video about Renoise tomorrow just because people are sleeping. But yeah, so basically Famitracker works is not really the exact same way as you would see in like another type of game, another type of program, mainly because you use the tracker style, and the tracker style is like it's different. It's different from like music, regular notation. So if I wanted to actually put down a note, let's say I want to put down a note, I need to have an instrument. And to make an instrument, you just click the new instrument button, add instrument. So that's new instrument. This is for the Nintendo Entertainment System. So the sounds are going to be a bit harsh. Just want to let you know that right now. I'm going to choose a low one because the low ones generally sound better. So that's how it sounds. So we could just put down a C, press space to record, push down C. So yeah, that's my instrument, right? That's my pulse wave, that's my square wave. So we press play, you see how that's like a square wave right there. And the higher as the note changes, the wave will change. So these two, this is 5 channels, and each channel represents one monophonic synthesizer, basically. So you basically have this one note going, this one note going, this one note going, this one note going, and this note going all at once. So that's it. You can't be doing big lush chords. Well, you can, but that requires some strategy, which I'll talk about later. So yeah, so we just have that note down. Before we get any more into it, we're just going to put down Mary Had a Little Lamb, right? So we know how to put down C. Now, this currently goes at a BPM of about 150, and the song speed kind of corresponds to the BPM. So like, yeah, I've never actually used BP tempo. I've actually always used song speed, mainly because it's just quicker and easier. But BPM, when you're doing it on real hardware, like I don't know, never mind. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what I don't know. So I don't know, but I generally go for speed. But in Renoise, you have full control over BPM. Famitracker, I understand it more, which is why I'm using it here. So let's just write down Mary Had a Little Lamb. You go down 1 octave lower for my low keys. So I'm typing this on my computer keyboard as opposed to my piano keyboard, though I can use my piano. Let me see, is it gonna work? Nope, the MIDI isn't connected right now, so it's not working. So let's try Mary Had a Little Lamb. Right? So you saw that. So basically, we just put down quarter notes. This is a quarter note. All these are quarter notes. Each one's a quarter note, basically. Well, the triggers are, because you can't really put notes in between these things, you're basically locked to having notes only fit in these spaces. So the smallest note we could do at this speed is a quarter note. But if you want to do an eighth note, you have to basically make the song go faster so you can space out the notes and have more space in between when they trigger. You know what I'm saying? It's a little weird, but it's not as restrictive as you think, because you can also change the speed of the song on the fly, which is not what I usually do. I don't do it that often. I don't do it that often, but I mean, you're not going to be having too much complication in songs like this anyway. So, like I said, Mary Had a Little Lamb. But it was da na 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 na. But you didn't hear the na na na. You just heard one, because when you put down a note, it basically turns the note on, and it just goes da. It just keeps running with that tone. So to change the tone, we could actually turn it off. Turn it off. We just press this and this, and that stops it for that length, and then goes back again. Right? Pretty good. Is that the right spacing? Let's slow it down a bit. So the higher the speed, the slower it goes. Don't ask me how it works, because I don't know. I don't know. The speed works differently in every tracker program, I swear, so I don't know. You see when I went up, look at the BPM, it says 150. We go up, 128. See? We can select all, Control A, copy, and paste. So yeah, that's Mary Had a Little Lamb. More information here about just the tracker in general. This note is this part is the actual where the note goes. So E2, D2, C2, D2, E2, E2, right? And the spacing represents like how long you want the note to last. When you do it by default, it just turns the note on. So as the note's on, you can do whatever you want to it. You can apply effects to it. If the instrument has certain type of stuff going on, that stuff's going to happen. There's a few different things we can do. And this part actually represents the instrument number. So this is instrument number 0. It starts at 0 instead of 1. So this is the first instrument basically. This column represents the volume. So if I want, so the top volume is basically goes from 0 to 15. And since we use a counting system called hexadecimal, instead of typing in 15, the counting system goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And because we have one letter, hexadecimal can store characters 1 through 9 and A through F. So A would be 10, B would be 11, 12 would be C, 13 would be D, 14 would be E, and 15 would be F. So after that, I mean, we're not have to go that high because right now we're kind of just doing one column. So maximum by default is F. So by default everything is at F already. So we don't have to set this. But if we wanted to start quieter, we could do 5. Or if I wanted to get louder, we could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, A, B, C, D, E, F. Right? So that was pretty cool, right? So now you see how we can change the note as it's going. Now, if we go in, we could change the way the instrument behaves as it's traveling through the song on each note. Now, in terms of adding more ways to express the way the instrument works, we have what's called an FX column. Now, the FX column controls what type of special effect you want the note to have as it's being played. So the special effects column, you could do some really funky stuff with this. The first effect that I think that you might want to think about is kind of like what I just did, and that's called A. And what A does, that lets you control the volume of the note of the whole channel as a function, as opposed to as a linear function, as opposed to just putting on the letter. So for example, you saw how we did. Let's do a different type of. Let's do something where it's going down. So we do F. No, yeah, let's do F, E, D, C, B, A, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Right, so the song's muted now. So we saw that, and on every eighth, it was just like, no, every quarter note, it was just like, it just went down by one click. So, instead of doing all that, instead of keep writing all the volumes down, we could just set the volume F at the maximum here, then do the effect command. And the effect command will tell you how we want it to go down. If we want it to go down by 1 for every note, we could just do 1 here. right, had the same exact effect as if we had the F, E, D, C, B, A, or no back. But instead of writing it all out, we just have one command. So this is pretty powerful, and there's a few different other commands you can do. So since we have A1, A means control the volume, and 1 means go up until we hit the maximum on every click, right? So let's say we want it to go up. To go down instead of up, because right now it's going up. It's going down. So we want it to go up instead of down. Let's do it the other way, basically. So we start at 0, and we do 1, and we do like that. So that means it's just the same exact thing, but the other way around. So press play. See, it got louder. Started at 0, but it got up, right? So yeah, that's that first effect. And one nice way you can put this into practice is by making a bass line. So I just muted this one, and I'm gonna go even lower, just to keep it nice and crispy. That's too low. What should I do? I'm gonna try to do that. Now that sounds pretty good by itself, I'm not gonna lie, but if we want to spice it up just a bit, we could do F and A. Let's try E. Right? And you heard that, right? It just went like that, just for a sec, because it basically went down by 14 segments on each note. Now, it just does that, and then it's quiet, right? We don't want it to be quiet because we wrote this whole thing. So, for each thing, we just set a new start volume for every single note. And what this means is that every time a note gets hit, it's no matter what volume this is at, it's always going to be acting on whatever effect we put in the effect column. So, right? That sounds pretty different. Now, just as a comparison, let's turn this off. See, now you see the effect, like it stops the note real short. It's not exactly as an abrupt as a stop as it was when I put down the cutoff, for example, but it's a bit smoother, and we can even make it smoother by doing A. Right? So instead of, it doesn't even fully reach 0. So F, which is 15, minus A, which is 10, meaning this note is actually at 5. So it basically slides from 15 to 5, 15 to 5, 15 to 5, 15 to 5, 15 to 5. So it gives the illusion of the note kind of calming down. You know what I'm saying? Like, it gives the illusion of the note like doom, doom, having a cutoff, and like it slows down, and you know. So yes, that is the effect column. There's plenty more effects in Famitracker, and I don't even know all of them myself. But like, just for fun, and I'll just show you another one. I'll show you another one. No, before I even show you more effects, I'm gonna show you the other channels. Now this is the triangle channel. It's not. I mean, it's a different type of channel because it's the triangle channel has a it's basically a sine wave. If these first two this is called pulse, but it's like a square wave. But this is a sine wave, like a sine function. And it's because it's an NES and the chip is like kind of funky. It's not exactly a perfect sine wave. It's kind of more like a simulated sine wave. And what drawbacks come with that is that you can't control the volume. Like, it's either on full blast or low, and as you get lower, it gets quieter, and as you get higher, it gets much louder, and it even gets out of tune a bit, which is a drawback to say the least, but you can still do a lot of interesting things with it. So just as a default, like I said, I'm going to try to keep this lower. let's do How You Gonna Keep Them Down the Farm. That's a Jim Europe song from the 1910s, World War One. Very, very, very nice song. How you gonna keep? That's an old show too. But yep. See, that didn't sound too bad, right? But if we do that special effect, like I said, you know, it just kind of goes through. It kind of just stops. It doesn't really cool down or anything. And it would have a similar effect if I just went like that. Right? That was a little shorter, but basically the same thing. So a lot of times what people might do with this, they might just leave it as is. They might even use the higher octaves, which out of context might sound a bit ugly. But if you can play with them and do cool stuff, and you know how to work them into your song, then it can sound rather nice. So I'm gonna go up a bit. This might be a harsh noise, just to let you know. Oh, that wasn't that harsh. That's pretty good. See? I mean, if you have the volume up, it might not be as good, but in a song when other things are playing and they kind of overshadow it, because this is generally a pretty quiet channel, it sounds pretty good. Let's do it again. There it is. That's where it bites. But yeah, that's the triangle channel. You can also do effects on here. Not the volume effect, but there's other effects that we can do. I want to show you how synthesis works in terms of drums. This is an effect that can be applied in many different this is an effect that can be applied to different synthesizers and different trackers. It might not have the same exact name, but this is like a strategy that you can use if you don't have access to samples and you need a kick drum, right? So let's say we have a kick, right? You have to go really high for the kick to, I mean, you don't have to go high, but for it to have a better effect, you want to have a high note. So we're going to be doing, what is that, A? B. Right? So that's B. Now, we had volume as a linear function where it will be going down by 1 every single step, right? So we can also do pitch as a linear function as well. So if we have pitch and we do 1, right? So it's kind of like something falling, right? You can do that, or you can actually multiply that speed. So we have it at 1. Let's do 2 times 1. Right? That kind of sounds like a what's that called? I forgot. It's like a synthesized drum that goes right. You could do that here. This is like, I know Mega Man 2 uses this sound a lot. So yeah. And the nice thing about it is that you don't even have to put the F again. You can just put the note. Right? See? That's good. So that's a triangle. And there's like I said, that's 2 effects we went over. That's 2 effects. And one thing I didn't show you is that you could layer the effects on the same channel. So I could have that going, and I could have this going. It doesn't sound as nice on this channel, but it's still an option. You could also do the change the vibrato. So if I want to change the vibrato, let me just disable that so you can hear it, which is like the waviness, right? This is how far you want the vibrato to go, like how many notes up or down, or like, I forgot how it works, either semitones, I don't know everything about how this works, but this is the speed. You can barely hear it wave, but if we go higher, it's a little crunchy, but we can keep going, right? But I mean, there's ways you can work that to your advantage. There's a lot of really cool ways you could do that. But yeah, you could put multiple of those on the same thing, have different effects. You could have it waving, you could have the note going up and down, you could change the length, all this stuff. Some of that can actually be programmed into the instrument editor. I tend not to use this a lot because of just how I write. I like to have everything out in front of me as opposed to just working with this, so I don't even really use the different type of instrument settings. Yeah, that's that. This is the noise right here, and noise is just drum. It's just like static drum. For NES stuff, it works really well. And DPCM quickly is like a sample editor. So you can have samples, but the samples are like AM radio quality. No pitch control for the NES. Like I said, this is old. No pitch control. No. Actually there is pitch control, but it's really, really bad. It's not like you don't have a chromatic keyboard. You might have like 1 or 2 notes per octave. It's like it's not good. But you could do cool effects with it. It's just not good. And the quality is like AM radio, like I said. You have a limit on how many samples you can have because this is a hardware accurate emulator. And you can't have samples that are long or any weird file formats. You know, it's very, very specific, but it works. So I'm just going to play you an example that I did with this program. See, this is a program I didn't use any expansions. I just used the stuff that I showed you. Trying to get it to follow. Now, it's a pretty nice song. This is really old. It sounds pretty nice still. I like it a lot, but you see how we combined a lot of these elements, right? Even if we took out the sample, I mean, it's still essentially a lot of those simple elements. We have this note, which just this note, basically, I did use the instrument actually here, and it just has it go for like a very short period of time, very, very short period of time, and it's just like really quick. Doing this would be the equivalent of doing something like a like B, which is 11 parts, right? It's the same exact effect as opposed to using that. So if I didn't have that volume thing programmed in, it would be the same exact thing. Let's just listen to this channel. Very, very simple. If we listen to the triangle, we just have it using as a bass, no special effects. It's pretty subtle, but it does add some depth to the melody, or it does support the melody, rather. The noise channel is just drums, standard NES drums, and here I do have the effect 2F, and that is just going to make it go down. So here we just stop the note, because if I didn't stop it, it would basically keep going down, 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 right? We don't want that. And this like, it stops the note and this stops the effect, so it just, if we play that again, down, right? So yeah, you get this. This is the wavy part. And this I didn't talk about the sample part much because there's not really much to say, but you can load up wave samples. I just loaded in some drums and I just made like a really quick drum beat. But yeah, I mean the samples are pretty low quality, but when you put it all together, it has a pretty succinct sound. Q, that's like the opposite of nose knot. That is like, it's similar to what I showed you with 2, but Q has a terminus, meaning that it has a point where the note stops sliding up. So let's say I wanted to slide up 2 semitones like I have here. So it would go up B, C, C sharp, right? Then it would stop. If I had 2 instead of Q2, then it would be like, it would just keep going up forever, you know, and that would be like real high. So yeah, that's the song. I mean, the melody is a pretty simple melody. If you want to see something a bit more complicated, we can load up a song like Based Gods. This song uses a few different effects. This uses 2 effects at once. This uses the wave effect to make it wave just a little bit, and this uses the note down, the volume as a linear function. And if we just want to hear one channel, dun, 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 dun. Sounds pretty weird, right? Now, if I want to open this part, right? So that sounds pretty weird, right? But when you put them all together, sounds kind of like guitar, right? So when you have a better control over how the sound effects work in Caustic or in any other tracker you're using, you can turn really simple sounds into much more advanced parts, you know, like where the song is greater than the sum of its parts. And that's why I like trackers, especially because you have really pretty exact control over what the sound is doing. And like you see, like I didn't even use A here because like I actually wrote this a long time ago, so I didn't even have a pretty good control over the effects when I wrote this, because this is the first time I actually even layered them like this right here. But as you can see, it's once you get a handle of it, it's pretty simple to get into it. This is another one where I'm using like 3 effects at once. Am I controlling the speed? No. Now this part coming up is where we have a new effect that I haven't talked about yet. It's called the arpeggiator. Now, what's this? This is the arpeggiator, right? And what it does is it's the effect 0. And what 0 does, I have my piano. I don't know if you can hear it, but I've just yeah. So the arpeggiator, it basically allows you to play chords. It gives you the effect of polyphony. Polyphony is like when you have multiple notes playing at once. This gives the effect of that by arpeggiating between notes very quickly. So, or switching between notes very quickly. So we have E4. So that's something around this. And we don't want to just do E4. We want to do E4, F4. So that's what that does. That's basically what this does. And it does it really fast to make it kind of sound like it's playing them, like playing both at the same time. It's not really like a big chord or anything. It's really just playing this. That's what that is. 2 clashing notes. And every time we hit a new note, it basically plays that same chord with the root as the instrument you give it. So you can build up more. So I have it as this, and so it's just E, and it means 1 means just do the next note. So I can do E, 1, 6, right? So that's like a bit more complicated. That's a bit more complicated, but you get the picture. You can pretty much build up chords using this, and if you have chords going here, chord going here, chord going here, chord going here, chord going here, and here, you can pretty much do all this stuff. Like, you can have more complicated songs with more complicated melodies, but it's, like I said, this is an NES, and this is an expansion chip, and even with the expansion chip, if you don't know how to use it right, it's gonna sound weird. So it's definitely a craft. But yeah, that's how, like, what I've showed you is very specific to Famitracker, but I hope that you've got an idea on how you can structure the technically different songs and stuff within the context of a tracker, listing out the notes in this way, using the effects to kind of alter the notes on the fly. The demo songs in Caustic, a lot of them actually use instruments, so a lot of them aren't even using the effects, like I said, in the way that I'm using them. So if we go to demo songs and click like Super Fusion or something, right? So they are using effects, but they're also using these instruments too. And this one sounds pretty good. It's been a while, but see, this is a demo one. I didn't write this. This is by Kevin. Shout out to Kevin for being in the demo songs for Famitracker. Yeah. See, look at that. I don't even know how to do that. You heard that? I was like, dun, like the way the notes blended together, it was like all one synth. You know, that was very, very cool. That was cool. But like, this is like another example of mastery of this channel. I don't even know what V or G does. See? But see, you learn things by looking at this stuff too. That's the nice part about tracker music, is that as long as you have the file, you can kind of learn what they're doing. Yeah, that's Famitracker. I'm not gonna babble on about this anymore. I'll switch over to Renoise in a minute just to show you the exact technology that I'm using for our project. But yeah, I grew up on this stuff.